In this corner, weighing 3.5 ounces plus a dash of bitters, the heavyweight champion of the world, Jack Johnson. As you can guess by now, this is Kevin's Cocktail Minute. I'm your host, Kevin Postapak, and today we're having a boxing themed drink. And we go back 100 years ago, right? Today we have Jack Johnson, the singer-songwriter, but 100 years ago, there was another Jack Johnson. He was the heavyweight champion of the world. He was the baddest man on the planet. He was the most famous person on earth, and he happened to be an African-American too. There's so many great Jack Johnson stories. I'd like to just share one. He loved sports cars. He loved driving really fast, kind of like me. One day he was racing through North Carolina, and a policeman pulled him over, and he said, "That'll be $50 fine for the speeding." And so Jack Johnson gave him a $100 bill, and the cop says, "Well, it's only $50. I don't have change." He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll be coming back through this way in an hour." Okay, so this drink is called the Jack Johnson, and it features bourbon. This is beautiful Blanton's single barrel bourbon. Bourbon has been made in Kentucky since 1776, and Blanton's is one of my favorites. So we're going to get a shaker full of ice and then pour 1.5 parts of Blanton's bourbon, Kentucky bourbon. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, now the next part is sweet vermouth, and this isn't any kind of sweet vermouth. This is Cocchi Vermouth di Torino. This has been around for 120 years. It's one of my favorite vermouths. It's so good. It tastes almost like a sherry. It has notes of rhubarb and cocoa, and it's just a really lovely sweet vermouth. And I'm going to use 1 part of this. The next part is some juice. We're going to have Ocean Spray 100% juice, cranberry juice. We're going to use 1/2 part of that. This gives it a nice color and a little bitterness as well. Schweppes ginger ale, and we've seen this before. It's been around since 1783, which is not as old as bourbon, but still it's been around for a long time. And we're using 1/2 part of Schweppes ginger ale. And finally, some bitters, and this is Peychaud's bitters. This was made in the 1820s or so in New Orleans, so this has been around a long time as well. It's in a lot of cocktails. The Sazerac uses this, the 4th Regiment. A lot of cocktails use Peychaud's. We do a couple dashes of that. Stir this up. Jack Johnson, when he was in his prime, he had such a defensive posture, and he had such long arms that hardly any of his opponents ever laid a glove on him. It was really remarkable. He was like Muhammad Ali 90 years before Muhammad Ali. Okay, now we're going to strain this into this beautiful glass that looks like it might have been around back then. Very beautiful color, very deep, rich, reddish brown color. Now the final touch is the garnish, and for this we're using a twist of lemon peel. And I present to you today's cocktail in honor of my favorite boxer of all time, the Jack Johnson.